This is your sign that you need to buy one of these SW20 MR2s right now. Hi wifey. So you're probably expecting me to say that you got to get one of these things right away because they're only going up in value. And you're not wrong. They are climbing in value pretty steadily. As a matter of fact, one of these 91, 92 models just broke a record on Bring a Trailer. Sold for a ton of money for an all-stock, super low mileage one. But that's not the only reason why I think you need to buy one of these cars right away. Now that I'm pumping out so many videos on this channel, I'm getting kind of sick of just sitting on a stool and blabbing all the time. So today I'm actually going to be bringing you along I'm going to get this car fired up for the season because here in Ontario, winter is finally over. So there's a couple of things that I need to take care of before I fire this thing up for the first time this year. Let's dig into it real quick right now. At some point we're going to have to talk about the Harley-Davidson here, but that'll be a subject for another video. Reason number two why you need to buy one of these MR2s is the styling. And in stock form, they might be pretty 90s looking. They've got that kind of rounded wedge shape. But as you can see on my car, with a few sort of tasteful modifications, you can really update the looks of these things, and they actually kind of look a little exotic. As you can see, the first thing I'm noticing here is we got a bit of a low air pressure situation here on this front wheel. This front one always leaks. So I'm going to pump that up, and I could just go fire up the air compressor over there, but I've got this little booster pack from Oxito that they sent me. So this is mainly like a battery charger, right? Like a booster pack. And as a matter of fact, I actually used it on the Harley just the other day. This thing also doubles as a little air compressor, so I'm going to test it out on a low profile tire like this. It shouldn't be too difficult. But yeah, this is going in the 4Runner with me. I am throwing my jumper cables out, and I'm officially moving to the modern times. Now, despite what all the K-Series guys will tell you, these engines can actually make quite a bit of power. The 3S GTE is a fantastic engine. You can make a lot of power with these things with the right modifications. Even in stock form, the performance is like not bad. I mean, you're only dealing with about 200 horsepower, which is obviously not much, but when you factor in that this is about a 2,800 pound car, they're fairly fun to drive even in stock form. But I would still recommend at least doing like minor modifications to them to kind of open them up and wake them up a little bit. These cars are also not exactly one-trick ponies. You can build them for a few different purposes, really, if you want to. You can build them for circuit racing or autocross, drag racing. You can even be a stancy boy if you want to. So before I fire this thing up for the first time, there's really just one more thing that I need to do. I'm not worried about the battery because, as you can see, I keep it on a tender all winter long, so the battery should be topped up. It should be okay. I do want to check the oil in two different locations, on the dipstick and on the floor, because these old Toyotas, well, they like to pee their pants sometimes, so I want to make sure that it hasn't been sitting here dripping all winter long. All right, it looks like we're all good to go there, so I'm going to go ahead and fire it up. I want to pull it out and just give it a real quick bath. I just want to get the dust off of it because it's been sitting for half a year, so the dust is definitely collected with it not having a cover on it. This car needs a bunch of detailing work before it's ready for like going to events and stuff this summer, so I don't know if you guys want me to film that. Do you want me to make videos of like cleaning this thing up and kind of doing some more intricate detailing stuff? Let me know in the comments if you want to see that. So when it comes to the first start on these cars, when they've been sitting for a long time, a lot of people do recommend pulling the fuel pump relay just so you can crank it over and pump the oil through the engine because it's been sitting and resting down in the oil pan for so long, right? It's not up in the head right now. My car is kind of a unique case where I am going to do that, but I don't need to do anything with any fuel pump relays or anything because, as you can see, or maybe you can't really see, but I'm running a big aftermarket throttle body with this big intake manifold on this car, and I have no IAC valve. It opens up your throttle body to allow air to come in, you know, whatever. Basically, I have to do that manually with my foot on the gas pedal. I have to give it a little bit of throttle in order for it to idle and fire up and run. If I don't want it to fire up, it's super easy. I just don't hit the gas pedal, and I can turn it over as much as I want, and then when I want it to fire, I can just give it a little bit of throttle. I swear, nothing's ever easy. I just had to cut my garden hose nozzle off of my hose in order to be able to hook my pressure washer up. I guess that's what I get for buying cheap crap. Okay, now let's wash this thing. Oh, sweet. All right, well, it's clean-ish, but I'm gonna go swing by my buddy's shop now, and I gotta drop these camshafts off because he's got a customer that needs a set of factory cams for his MR2, and don't tell them, these are factory cams, not HKS. So I think one of the biggest misconceptions about these cars is that because they're a small car, they must be small inside, but I'm a fairly big dude, and I got tons of space in here. It's very deceiving. All right, here we are. See if they got anything cool around here. You got a British invasion here?
Yeah, so these guys, two brothers, they actually bought two of them last year, one yellow one and this one.
It looks like it's like a race car.
Oh yeah, it's...
I've never seen one of these in person.
You know,
do you like it?
That guy trying to get in is like, it's kind of painful.
Yeah, it's a little tiny in there, huh?
Well, that's the problem, right? When you start doing like major repairs, you got to take the whole front end off pretty much, right? So,
yeah.
Like
Does it all come apart pretty easy though?
Yeah. Yeah, they're all like Zeus clips.
Oh, nice. That's cool, man.
Yeah, it's definitely...
There's always something crazy when I come here. Every single time. There's never normal cars here. You don't do normal.
No, we don't.
What about this thing?
Oh, this is a customer's Del Sol factory.
Looks pretty clean, no?
Oh, this thing's solid.
Yeah.
It's got 300,000 K. The thing runs like a... Well, now it doesn't run like a champ, but...
you don't see many of these in good shape anymore.
No. I mean, I would have done without the oil spray, but that's just me.
Oh, yeah. But it's...
It worked. It's still one piece.
Yeah, it worked. It's not rusty. It looks really good.
The guy who paints for him now, he's really, really good, so...
It's so hard to find, like, good body guys in this city for some reason, eh? Yeah, this looks like the texture looks great, eh? So
it's not too much orange peel.
Yeah. But he definitely did, like, sand it and everything after and did it right.
Yeah. I don't want to start, taking away from the originality of it. So I said, you know what, this one here, I'm gonna, restore it back to the way it's supposed to be. I got the graphics guy coming, I think next week to do the graphics. Yeah, I replaced like all the door seals, the T-top seals.
Oh man.
I bought a new bumper, oddly, from GM. They had it in stock.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I'm not joking. Yeah, they actually had it still available.
And you're gonna sell this when it's done?
Yeah.
It's gonna be worth some decent money.
I got the 90 still. That one I'm gonna...
The white one, right?
Yeah, that white one's a turd on wheels. So, well, it's a 5.0 car.
We keep the turds. We just sell the nice ones.
Yeah.
This is a one-owner car.
Yeah.
Original.
Like owner? I mean, the top is just flawless. Like it's.
And that's saying something because that's like their weakest point on these things, eh?
I mean, the paint's flawless.
Yeah, it looks good.
The transmission shifts like butter.
You say it's got like 70K?
Yeah.
If you haven't noticed a theme here, we've got old Hondas all over the place.
Interior needs a little detail, but. Yeah, it's got the nice red and white stitching, all carbon fiber trim. And let me put in race mode, you can actually hear the exhaust.
Yeah.
That's
what do you think? Do we need to review this thing on the channel or what? All right, let's get back home. Oh, I forgot how low this car is. Oh crap. These cars from the 90s era were so simple, and a lot of people love the Dodge Vipers because they had no electronic nannies, no gizmos, no traction control or anything like that. Well, this car, I mean, it's got ABS on it, but it's got no power steering, it's got no traction control, no stability control. It did have cruise control, but I deleted it. So, I mean, realistically, you're on your own on this car. There's lots of aftermarket parts available for these things, and it's interesting. There's almost like two different phases of aftermarket parts, like two different eras for these cars. Originally, back like the period correct stuff, there was all the Japanese companies were making parts for them, like Greddy and HKS, companies like that. Phoenix Power. There's a lot of like hardcore Japanese tuning companies that would make parts for these things. But nowadays, there's a few North American companies that make parts for these things. Some of them are knockoffs or molds or replicas of the original parts, like the body panels and stuff are not originals. They stole the designs essentially and recreated them. But there are a few companies out there that are developing new parts for these cars, even still, 30 years later. And much like pretty much any vehicle from Toyota in the 90s, these things are really reliable. So that means you can spend less time fixing it and more time driving it and enjoying it and maybe even upgrading it. So the main reason why I think you need to buy one of these MR2s sooner rather than later is not necessarily because they're only going to climb in value. It's because they're getting harder and harder to find, because there's a lot of them that are either neglected, so they're rusting out, or they're just sitting baking in the sun, or they're getting crashed. This is sort of a driver's car with not many safety features, to be honest. In the wrong hands, it's very easy to crash one of these cars. We're not going to get into that whole like snap oversteer thing in this video. Maybe we'll talk about it in another video, but yeah, they're just getting harder to find. So the few that are out there and available right now, I don't see any reason to believe that pool of cars is going to continue in the next few years. I think it's going to continue drying up, and eventually it's just going to become one of those cars that you just hardly ever see for sale, and when you do, it's not really one of the good ones. It's kind of beat up. So I'll leave you with a few parting words of why these cars are so cool. There's so many different styling features and stuff. I mean, the fact that it's a mid-engine car in this price range, I mean, nowadays with the internet the way that it is, it seems like everybody and their pen pal owns a supercar, but realistically, to see a mid-engine car on the streets is pretty rare. Another cool feature that these MR2s have is functional vents. So this passenger side vent actually feeds the intercooler for the turbo in here. We have another vent. This one right here is also functional. If you look, follow it along, the air intake is right inside that vent. You can actually even see the air filter inside there. Now, the interior might not be quite as fighter jet style as, say, the Toyota Supra, but I would say it's still very driver focused in here. Everything in the center has a bit of a tilt to it, pointed towards the driver. And that's another thing that you don't really see too much on modern vehicles these days. We've also got T-tops, which is kind of a love it or hate it thing. I think some people love them, some people, it's kind of a downside. I'm not a huge fan of them personally myself, but you could actually buy these cars with either a hardtop or a sunroof, and then the T-top was also an option. So that's why I feel like these SW20 MR2s are the best buy right now in the Japanese collector car market. Let's face it, most of us are not going to be able to afford to buy a Mark IV Supra or an NSX or a GTR or any of those big like Japanese hero cars. They've gone crazy out of control in pricing. This is sort of like the next level down in terms of the Japanese sports cars. It's like tier 2, I want to say. This is where you're going to find like the 300ZX or the MR2, the 3000 GT, those kind of cars that were also great Japanese sports cars, but were not quite like, again, like the top hero cars. So let me know what you thought of this style of video. It was really fun to get out with the car and kind of just hang out a little bit today. So I will catch you guys in the next video. See ya. There's also one more very important reason why you should buy one of these cars. You didn't think I was going to skip this one, did you?